Part 7. Final clauses. Article 27. Depositary. The Secretary-General of the United Nations is hereby designated as the depositary of this convention. Article 28. Signature, ratification, acceptance, approval, accession 1. This convention is open for signature by all states until the 30th of April 1979 at the headquarters of the United Nations, New York. 2. This convention is subject to ratification, acceptance or approval by the signatory states. 3. After the 30th of April 1979, this convention will be open for accession by all states which are not signatory states. 4. Instruments of ratification, acceptance, approval and accession are to be deposited with the Secretary-General of the United Nations. Article 29. Reservations. No reservations may be made to this convention. Article 30. Entry into force. 1. This convention enters into force on the first day of the month following the expiration of 1 year from the date of deposit of the 20th instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval or accession. 2. For each state, which becomes a contracting state to this convention after the date of the deposit of the 20th instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval or accession, this convention enters into force on the first day of the month following the expiration of 1 year after the deposit of the appropriate instrument on behalf of that state. 3. Each contracting state shall apply the provisions of this convention to contracts of carriage by sea concluded on or after the date of the entry into force of this convention in respect of that state. Article 31. Denunciation of other conventions. 1. Upon becoming a contracting state to this convention, any state party to the International Convention for the Unification of Certain Rules Relating to Bills of Lading signed at Brussels on 25 August 1924 convention must notify the government of Belgium as the depositary of the 1924 convention of its denunciation of the said convention with a declaration that the denunciation is to take effect as from the date when this convention enters into force in respect of that state. 2. Upon the entry into force of this convention under paragraph 1 of Article 30, the depositary of this convention must notify the government of Belgium as the depositary of the 1924 convention of the date of such entry into force, and of the names of the contracting states in respect of which the convention has entered into force. 3. The provisions of Paris 1 and 2 of this article apply correspondingly in respect of states parties to the protocol signed on 23 February 1968. To amend the International Convention for the Unification of Certain Rules Relating to Bills of Lading signed at Brussels on 25 August 1924. 4. Notwithstanding Article 2 of this convention, for the purposes of paragraph L of this article, a contracting state may, if it deems it desirable, defer the denunciation of the 1924 Convention and of the 1924 Convention as modified by the 1968 Protocol for a maximum period of 5 years from the entry into force of this convention. It will then notify the government of Belgium of its intention. During this transitory period, it must apply to the contracting states this convention to the exclusion of any other one. Article 32. Revision and Amendment 1. At the request of not less than one-third of the contracting states to this convention, the depositary shall convene a conference of the contracting states for revising or amending it. 2. Any instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval or accession deposited after the entry into force of an amendment to this convention is deemed to apply to the convention as amended. Article 33. Revision of the limitation amounts and unit of account of monetary unit 1. Notwithstanding the provisions of Article 32, a conference only for the purpose of altering the amount specified in Article 6 and Paragraph 2 of Article 26, or of substituting either or both of the units defined in paragraphs 1 and 3 of Article 26 by other units is to be convened by the depositary in accordance with paragraph 2 of this article. An alteration of the amounts shall be made only because of a significant change in their real value. 2. A revision conference is to be convened by the depositary when not less than one-fourth of the contraction state so request. 3. Any decision by the conference must be taken by a two-thirds majority of the participating states. The amendment is communicated by the depositary to all the contracting states for acceptance and to all the states signatories of the convention for information. 4. Any amendment adopted enters into force on the first day of the month following 1 year after its acceptance by two-thirds of the contracting states. Acceptance is to be effected by the deposit of a formal instrument to that effect which the depositary. 5. After entry into force of an amendment, a contracting state which has accepted the amendment is entitled to apply the convention as amended in its relations with contracting states which have not, within 6 months after the adoption of the amendment, notified the depositary that they are not bound by the amendment. 6. Any instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval or accession deposited after the entry into force of an amendment to this convention is deemed to apply to the convention as amended. Article 34. Denunciation 1. A contracting state may denounce this convention at any time by means of a notification in writing addressed to the depositary. 2. The denunciation takes effect on the first day of the month following the expiration of 1 year after the notification is received by the depositary. Where a longer period is specified in the notification, the denunciation takes effect upon the expiration of such longer period after the notification is received by the depositary. Done at Hamburg, this 31st day of Mach 1978, in a single original, of which the Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian and Spanish texts are equally authentic. In witness whereof the undersigned plenipotentiaries, being duly authorized by their respective governments, have signed the present convention.